Hello, ATL and Falcon sports fans. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are experiencing the broadcast of What the Falcon with T-Wil and my guy Scott Carasik. Scott, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. I have no complaints. It's a wonderful Falcons Hump Day, May the 7th, 2025. We got Falcon Commander in the chat. He says, Good Hump Day, May 7th, 2025. Go ATL Falcons. Rise up, Dirty Birds. He also says, Ready for the 2025 schedule to come out. Go ATL Falcons. Rise up, Dirty Birds. I think we all feel the same way. Scott, how you doing today, brother? All well?
I'm doing pretty good. I know a lot of people are excited about the schedule and everything, but I don't feel like it's worth talking about till we see it,
Amen, man.
you
Amen.
know,
Agree with
and
you 100%.
in the next week we should find out who's doing the international games sometime this week. So maybe we talk about that if the Falcons are involved or not involved in international games this year. Um, I there are two very distinct possibilities for Atlanta with that.
And
Tottenham Hotspur
what are they? The possibilities.
uh, playing at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against the Jets,
Okay.
or playing in Germany versus the Colts.
Okay.
I'd be open to either trip. Both sound like a ton of fun. But if it's England, I may pass just because one of those already been there kind of things. And there's
Gotcha.
only so much to do in London that a week there didn't feel like it already covered.
Okay. We have Lisa Shepard in the chat. She says, Hey y'all, looking forward to next week's schedule release. Hey Lisa, how are you? Lisa is of course a podcast friend of mine, member of the For My ATL Sports One channel, and also a friend. So Lisa, how you doing out there? Hopefully all is well. Scott, we got a lot to get into today, man. So we woke up yesterday or today, whichever, to find out that Pickens, wide receiver George Pickens from the Steelers, Go Dogs, was traded to the Cowboys. And you and I were chatting a little bit, and you seem to feel like this is good news for the Falcons. Can you tell us why?
It increases the Steelers' draft capital in 2026.
Okay.
Um, any pick that we will see for Kirk Cousins will end up needing to be a 2026 pick in the first place.
Okay.
So Pittsburgh has an extra third round pick now. They have, I believe, an extra fifth round pick projected, and they're in line 2026 comp. I was looking at the projected compensatory picks for Pittsburgh as well. When I was doing the research, they have another three in compensatory, another four, another five, and then potentially another six. So they're going to have three threes, two fours, two fives, two sixes, and then another five.
They got a
So
lot of picks.
they got a lot of picks.
Got a lot of picks, man. Wow.
And,
Hey, go ahead. I'm sorry.
and when you've got that many extra picks and you need a quarterback, yeah, next year's a good quarterback class and they're probably trading up, but you need a guy to get you through this year.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
And who on the market can get them through this year?
Uh,
Aaron Rodgers, maybe, but
yeah.
the most Aaron Rodgers thing to do would be to put his name in the news all off season. The off season he's actually retiring.
And then duck
All
out.
these other teams dwindle down to one team, and then retire and be like, "Nah, I don't feel like doing that."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That
That's a
would,
fair move right there.
that's an
That's a
Aaron Rodgers move right there.
that's an Aaron
You
Rodgers
think
move.
Aaron Rodgers wants to go quarterback a Arthur Smith offense?
No. Honestly, I don't see he and Mike Tomlin. I just don't because Mike Tomlin is not for the BS. You know what I mean? And not that he's a hard ass in any way. He's very much a player's coach, but he definitely holds folks accountable. And I just don't get the sense that Aaron likes to be held to
Then
accountability for anything.
that
So
whole fit made no sense from
yeah,
the
from
get-go.
the get, right. Agreed. Agreed.
So for me, I'm like, I could see Aaron Rodgers being like, I'm not going to take the job. I'm not going to take the job. And then we get to 2 weeks, 3 weeks before training camp. And the Steelers just being like, you know what? Screw this. We've got 40 million in cap space. We've got a bunch of extra picks. Hey, Atlanta, you want to just take a 4 and be done with Kirk Cousins?
Yeah. 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 Agreed.
And,
Agreed.
and I can see the Falcons being like, hey, you taking his contract? And Steelers being like, yes, we'll take his contract, but you're only getting a 4. Done.
I'm fine with that. Done deal.
Done. We'll
Done
take the
deal.
extra 4.
Sayonara, Kurt. We'll see you.
So
Hopefully never. You're disinvited to the cookout.
not
Never
a
again, Kurt.
yeah, never again. So
Never
again, not anything crazy, but not some conspiracy theory. I'm not over here with a tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
I'm making logical assumptions based on what I see. And the Steelers are going to have a ton of picks. That's always a factor in. Can they burn a pick and get a quarterback for a year? Absolutely.
Yep.
If they burn a 4, does anybody care there? Because they're going to have 3 3s, 2 4s, 2 5s, 2 6s.
No, I don't think anybody cares.
No one there is going to be mad at that.
Yeah.
The owners are going to be like, hey, we've got a competent quarterback this year.
Yeah.
So does Kirk Cousins care if he's running an Arthur Smith offense? He doesn't give a shit. He just wants to be on the football field, right? Does DK Metcalf care if he's having Kirk Cousins throw him the ball? No, because he's the only guy we're throwing to outside of like Freiermuth in that offense.
Yeah.
So when you factor all that together, you're like, oh, I mean, yeah, this is a really terrible Steelers team on offense. On defense, they're the Steelers. They're always going to be the Steelers. Just on offense determines their success. And I think Kirk would be a good impact there, and he'd be a veteran offensive voice for a room that hasn't had a veteran offensive voice since Ben Roethlisberger retired.
Yeah. No, I agree. Georgia, Texas boy says, what's up, T-Wil and Falcons family? The new era is here. The Atlanta Falcons will rise in 2025 and beyond. And Mr. Kip Epps, let me tell you something about this guy, Scott. This is one of my 2 best friends in the world that I've known since high school. Me and this guy had a lot of adventures. Oh, me and Kip had some good times, man. I love this dude. Met this guy when I was 12 years old, walking up the street to do something. And just a friendship was born. And, man, we had some great times. Kip, I love you, buddy. Hope all is well. Go Falcons. Craig. Now, Craig is out here. There's a joke that came up the other day, okay, about me being pregnant. I don't know why. I don't know how. I'm not pregnant, guys, okay? I don't do that. That's not me, okay? Not pregnant. I am fat. I do look like I'm pregnant, okay? But that's more
It's just
so,
a food baby.
it's just a food baby. That's more so lack of exercise and poor diet and being 54, okay? But I'm not pregnant. But we love you anyway, Craig, because you're hilarious. Carlos says, Wagwan, Wagwan, Wagwan. So I had a guest last night on a show, Scott, called Brother Noomsi, and he is of Jamaican heritage. And so that's the Wagwan. I think I'm butchering it. I don't think that's the way to say it, but it's my best impersonation.
I'm the last person that would know.
Oh, wow. Oh, that was good.
And I've been to Jamaica. Would still be the last person that would know.
I get it. Manuel says, what's up, guys? Tapping in from the job. What up, Manuel? Manuel McFarland, are you guys excited as I am about the upcoming season? Hell yeah, we are. Kip, my man, what's up, man? I'm gonna tell you something, man. Me and this guy had so much fun. We got into so much devilment in high school. Like, this was my guy here, man. At high school, early college, I love this dude, man. I love this dude. This dude is the keeper of my secrets because we got into some stuff back in the day. T-Will, Scott, excited for the new show today. I'm on X since I can't comment on YouTube. Carrie, I'm trying to figure out how to do it. I didn't mean to block her. Wait, Scott, were you on that show when I blocked her accidentally?
No, I wasn't, but Carrie getting blocked on YouTube is kind of hilarious.
Didn't mean to. I did because she's the nicest person. So there was some idiot like right above her spewing some stupid stuff, and I'm like, I'm not for it today. And I went to block him,
Yeah.
and I hit Carrie instead. And I've been going. So look, if anybody knows how to unblock somebody on StreamYard, because I've not been able to find it. StreamYard says
You
you
might
can't.
have to log in on YouTube and do it that way.
I'll try it. I will. I'll try anything at this point. I gotta call them back. I call StreamYard and have time for them to get back to me, but I'll call them back. But Carrie, I'm so sorry. You know we love you. Carrie's a producer of our show. She's outstanding, best producer in the world. And I'm sorry, Carrie. That's my dog Kip, man. Like I say, man, I had so much fun with this guy, man. Just best friend in the world, fun guy, hilarious. Also a very, 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 very avid uh Marvel comic reader. A lot of the early Marvel stuff I learned from this guy. But anyway, let's get back to Falcons, Scott. So this is good for the Falcons. That's a great thing.
Great thing
Some,
for the
some,
Falcons.
you said what?
Great thing for the Falcons.
Yeah. Some would say we had a great draft pick or great draft last week.
Absolutely.
I would agree with that. We got 5 draft picks. We got Jalen Walker, edge rusher. We got
Yep.
James Pierce, edge rusher. We got Xavier Watts, safety. We got Billy Bowman, defensive back. We got Jack Nelson, offensive tackle. Scott, in your opinion, which is very well qualified, I might add, how many of these guys do you think see the field of the 5 that I just referenced? And of the 5, do any of them have the opportunity to start this year?
So I'll go from the bottom up because
Okay.
I like to go from the guy who's going to see the field least to the guy who's going to see the field most.
Makes sense.
So I think in terms of snap percentage, Jack Nelson is probably sitting anywhere between 0 and 1%. And that 1% is special teams, right? Like if he makes the roster and he's on the game day roster, he's out there as a special teams guy.
Okay.
On like field goal kicks, punts, like the stuff you want your third string, your third out of 3 game day offensive tackles doing, right?
Gotcha.
You want your first one on the left, your second one on the right, your third one as your swing tackle / special teams.
Gotcha.
What Storm Norton has done the last 2 years, basically.
Gotcha.
So, like, do I see him playing that many snaps? No, I still think Storm Norton is the swing tackle. I think if they do have him active, it is for special teams and special teams only.
Okay.
For things like the punt coverage, the kick coverage, that kind of stuff. Kickoff, field goal, all those units. I just don't see him getting a lot of playing time.
Yeah.
Now, on the flip side, I'm going to go back to the first round picks because I said I'm going in lowest snap percentage to highest snap percentage. I think James Pierce is the next one on the list in terms of snap percentage. I think he kind of starts, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
I think he has a defined role as a rookie with the idea that he's going to develop into an all-around guy.
Gotcha.
Very much like how Leonard Floyd was used when he was drafted by the Bears.
Gotcha.
Or Will McDonald was used as a rookie, where pass rush situations, he's on the field.
Gotcha.
He's in there. He's getting after it. He's one of your top edges for that situation. You probably use him and Leonard Floyd in that situation, and you run 4 down linemen, 3-3-5, whatever you want to run. You have those guys out there.
Okay.
And those are your designated pass rushers. Boom.
All right.
Where I think Jalen Walker, he's the next one up. That rolls about 40% of the snaps. 35-40% of the snaps.
Okay.
Jalen Walker on the flip side, I think because of how good of a run defender he is, and because of how good of just an overall football mind he is, he and Arnold Ebiketie are going to be that base group.
Okay.
That Matthew Judon, Leonard, Lorenzo Carter, JSW, Damone Harris, that's where those guys get plugged in. They're going to see the bulk of snaps at edge.
Okay.
That's about 60%. And I think those guys starting with Floyd and Pierce rotating in is probably a best case situation for the Falcons.
Okay.
And what they're planning on. Now, I didn't say Braylon Trice in that edge rotation, but that's because I think he's going to be worked back in slowly. He'll be primarily special teams this year. And then when Floyd's contract is up at the end of the year, either Floyd retires, Floyd comes back maybe for another year, but Floyd sees a big snap decrease for Trice to get those snaps. So that's how I think the first rounders are going to work.
All right.
The next guy up on the percentage of snaps list, I think, is Billy Bowman.
Okay.
NFL teams run nickel probably 65 to 70% of the time. And he is a prototypical Buda Baker, Tyrann Matthew style nickel, where you're going to use him and you're going to have him be – he's definitely going to be your more primary like box guy for those nickel sets too. Let's say they throw a nickel set out, it's 3rd and 6, and the opposing team sends out a base grouping. You'd much rather have safety Billy Bowman out there than Robert Alford out there. You know, you'd rather have Baby Billy out there than
D. Alford.
D. Alford.
Okay.
So I'm a big fan of that idea of it, and it lets them run. That's why I call it a star position and not as much of a true nickel, because Ulbrich ran that same kind of thought process with Isaiah Oliver with the Jets last year, where Oliver was kind of a safety, kind of a corner, kind of that in-between spot, and that's what he was running. And he had Michael Carter also doing very similar things. So those two guys, and all three of those guys are about the same size. So it just kind of fits. Now the guy who I think is playing.
How big is Bowman? Not to cut. How big is?
He's like 5'11", 190, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check my sheet.
Okay.
So Billy Bowman, 5'9" and 7/8, so 5'10", 195, 192. So
okay. Not a thumper.
Not a thumper, but compared to the average cornerback is a thumper, right?
Okay.
So in the slot would be a thumper. 190 for a corner is big, especially in today's NFL.
Okay.
Okay.
So big nickel, kind of modified big nickel, even though it's not a big nickel, kind of a big nickel because you got a slot.
Kind of a big nickel, right?
Okay. All right.
You know, we're not putting Bowman out there at linebacker. We're putting him out there at a nickel spot, like a true nickel spot. It's just they're running it with safety, but a safety who can play really good in man coverage. Like it works. It makes sense for how the Falcons are going to use him.
Okay. And you think he starts over D. Alford?
I think he beats D. Alford out in camp. I think D. Alford keeps his roster spot from being a punt returner and special teams guy, and then depth around the defense. Because that's where D. Alford's at his best, when he's playing 10, 15% of the snaps on defense and just going ham on special teams. Okay. You know? Now, when it comes to who the guy I think gives the most snap impact, that's Xavier Watts. I think he wins one of the two starting safety jobs.
Really?
I do. I think he wins the job. I think they have a battle between Helms and Fuller for the other job in terms of backup job. Obviously, Jesse Bates is the starter. There's no question there.
Right, no question about it.
You know, Bates is one of the safety starters. The other one is up for grabs. And then past that, it's a roster spot up for grabs between Helms and Fuller, who are very similar players. So I think Helms ends up winning that job. If he's 100% healthy, he wins that job. We don't ever see Fuller really in a Falcons uniform, just like his brother. And we go from there. And And I think Watts ends up playing 100% of the snaps. You know, 99% of the snaps, barring injury.
All right. As a matter of fact, you've already updated it. All right. So all right. So you got Billy Bowman here. Yeah.
Well, because this is a pre-camp projection, right?
Gotcha.
Like some of these spots, I think it's obvious, like who's going to actually be the winner. Like I think it's obvious Xavier Watts is going to end up winning. I think it's obvious that Jalen Walker is probably winning that starting role. But if you notice how I have the edge rotations, you know, Ebiketti's in the first spot, Pierce is in the second spot. They're both going to play a bunch of snaps. Walker's in the first spot, Floyd's in the second snap. They're both going to play a bunch of snaps. At the first and second strings are all essentially starters with how the roles work for something like this. On your edge and your D-line spots. I think even Diablo and Anderson rotate out a lot because I think they're going to try and keep them both healthy next to Caden Ellis. I think the only like 5 spots that play pretty much every snap are going to be Caden Ellis at linebacker, 4 spots. Caden Ellis at linebacker, AJ Terrell at corner, Jesse Bates at safety, and Xavier Watts at safety. I think outside of those 4 spots, everything else is some sort of rotation. I think Hughes and Clark Phillips rotate. I think even at nickel, Billy Bowman and D. Alfred will rotate depending on competition. You know, I think we'll see a lot of rotation all throughout the cycle or through the season and everything. T-Wil, you good? All right. So while T-Wil is, I guess, loading, I'll just kind of answer some of these comments. Craig says, much love, T-Wil. Welcome, Craig. Carrie asked if I've watched Sinners. So one thing about me is I don't really... Oh, there you are.
Sorry about that. Yeah, internet just kind of, I guess, took a break. It dropped now.
I was reading some comments. Carrie asked if I watched Sinners.
I love that movie.
I will not watch Sinners until it's released to home video. Okay. And it has nothing to do with what I perceive the quality of the movie to be. Okay. I perceive movie theaters to suck.
Okay. I got you.
I would rather watch movies on my couch, in my own house, where I can pause it if I have to go to the bathroom, or if my dogs are barking, I can pause it and let them go outside. I'd rather do all of that than have to worry about like going to a theater and, I got to go to the bathroom. Oh, but the movie's in a really good spot and having to hold it.
Yeah.
I hate feeling hold it going to the bathroom.
So funny story, Scott. We did a show on Sinners this past Saturday, and it went great. But you know, just because I don't want to call myself a perfectionist, but if I'm going to talk about something, I want to at least have a very good working knowledge of it. So I went to see the movie the 3rd time that Saturday, right? I had not eaten before I go. Oh, you're going to love this. Ooh. I'm starving, Scott. So, you know, I get there and I'm like, I could go and get something to eat, but it just wasn't enough time to sit. I had like 20 minutes before the start of the previews and then another. So I had about 40 minutes before the movie started, but I just didn't feel comfortable going to a place to sit down. And I didn't want McDonald's or anything like that because the pizza had, you know, the theater had food in there. So I order a pizza because that's all they had left. Nothing else. They had a cheese pizza. That was the only thing you could get hot besides the stale popcorn they had, right? So I ordered the popcorn. It was stale. I sent that back. I ordered the pizza. I waited 15 minutes for this pizza. Now, by the time I got this pizza, Scott, it looks delicious. Okay? It looked delicious. It probably wasn't. But it looked like manna from heaven. Okay? I'm giving you the context. Now, me being me, I got this big ass drink. I got this pizza. I walk in. I have this bag on my this backpack on my back because I'm gonna take notes because I'm a nerd, and you know we're doing the presentation. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna take notes, right? In the dark, I'm gonna take notes. But anyway, as I go to sit down, I go to put the bag down, and the pizza slides off the plate onto the floor and in the midst of nothing but dirt and filth. So I can't pick it up, right?
Uh,
And I get there just in time for the movie to start, so I can't go back and order it. So I watched this sitting of Sinners. Scott, I was so damn hungry. But I
so
watched it. I did not get up. So to your point, if I had been at home, I could have gone downstairs. I could have got me something. I couldn't do it. I was stuck. So I get it, brother. I truly get it. But great movie, by the way. Just in case you haven't seen it.
whenever it comes out on streaming, I'll watch it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Mike says, hey, man, what will our record be, man? Obviously, he saw the show last night. I'm going to go 11-6, Mike. Craig says, Carrie, you got blocked for your love of Kirk O'Chase. Carrie says, it's probably through YouTube, like Scott said, because I'm technically blocked on YouTube, not StreamYard.
Yeah.
Scott, what position group do you feel like you'd like more depth at post draft? That's a good question.
We will get back to that when I talk about free agents, because I actually because we're going to talk about just general free agents left on the market right now. I go into kind of who I think they should look at, because there are a couple names out there at certain position groups that I think they do need to look at.
Gotcha. Makes perfect sense. Auntie Pam says, hello, Terry and Scott and everyone in the chat. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, Auntie Pam. Hopefully you're doing great. Manuel says, D. Alford is an unsung hero on special teams. Mike says, fellas. What to do, Mike? Mike says, them UDP packets. Mike, honestly, I think it was latency, bro. I don't know. It could have been drop packets. I don't know. Mike works in tech like myself. Mike, please tell me some team is taking Kirk. I'm so sick of his drama. You are at 100% right.
I think it's Steelers.
And Emmanuel has another person that you, again, probably can address in the free agency section. Hey, Scott, who you have at middle linebacker? And we can get to that. Let's.
Caden Ellis is the middle linebacker.
100%.
Yeah, Caden Ellis is the Mike. Like, at least this year, Caden Ellis is the Mike. He's in his last year of his contract. Now, after this year, does he stick and stay Mike? Do they re-sign Troy Anderson and have him as the Mike? Do they have Divine Diablo play the Mike? I don't know. But Caden Ellis doesn't really fit the old brick linebacker style. Feels kind of like a square peg round hole for this year. Just for this year. Just to throw this out there. And Ellis turns 30 this year.
Gotcha.
So,
all right. That makes sense. Well, let's get to our undrafted free agents. Falcons did really well. Again, the entire process of the draft, Falcons did really well. They did a great job as far as drafting, and it's, as far as I'm concerned, they signed some potentials here on the undrafted free agency list. Scott, give me your thoughts on number one, who has a chance to make the team from the undrafted free agents, and do you see anyone on this list who has the potential? Let me go over the list first. That would be smart. So Nick Nash, wide receiver, San Jose State. Kobe Bryant, not that Kobe Bryant, the other Kobe Bryant. Cornerback, Joshua Simon, tight end. Joshua Gray, offensive lineman. Dante Manning, cornerback. Nathan Carter, running back. Simeon Barrow, defensive lineman. Jordan Williams, offensive lineman. Malik Verdon, defensive back. Quincy Skinner, another wide receiver. And Nick Kubitz, linebacker. Scott, who of this class? Kip says, pizza story appropriate for singing the blues. Absolutely, Kip. Absolutely. Who on this list do you think has a shot at making it?
Making the roster, making the practice squad. There's so many different ways to look at this. Practice squad guys, I could see Nathan Carter on the practice squad. I could see Quincy Skinner on the practice squad, Josh Gray, Jordan Williams, Barrow, Verdon, Manning, all those guys I see practice squad, right? When it comes to who's going to make the 53-man roster that I think can make the 53-man roster,
Yeah.
Nick Nash as the 7th wide receiver, Josh Simon as the 3rd tight end, Kobe Bryant as, you know, your 6th cornerback. Those are the guys that I think, the 3 guys out of the entire group that I think actually make the 53-man roster, unless one of them surprises like Josh Gray or, you know, Simeon Barrow or Malik Verdon at their spots. I don't see a guy becoming a starter out of UDFA this year. Okay. I don't see a guy becoming, like, even down the line, barring major injury, right? Like, say Hughes and Phillips both get hurt and D. Alford's playing cornerback and Bowman's playing nickel. I could see Bryant, you know, competing with Alford for playing time at outside corner. But outside of that, I don't really see a guy that's on this roster right now that should start from undrafted free agency. That is not a knock on those players. That is a, hey, this roster is good enough to where they don't need to worry about a dude being signed right after the draft competing for playing time. I'm not knocking Kobe Bryant. I think Kobe Bryant's a hell of a corner, and I think one day he can be a starter. But I don't think that's today because you have Mike Hughes and Clark Phillips and D. Alford, who have all been playing in the pro schemes, pro systems, pro everything. Oh, and I even forgot Kevin King. Yeah, I think Kevin King would start if Mike Hughes went down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those guys, they're all going to make noise in preseason. They're all going to look really solid, but they don't have long-term, like, not long-term. They don't have instant starter written on them, right?
Gotcha.
That's okay. That's why they went undrafted. But you have a roster now where you don't have to throw an undrafted free agent into the fire. If he's good enough, he will work his way up that depth chart 10 games in, and I'll say, hey, you know what? I'm wrong. Kobe Bryant really did deserve to be taken in the 2nd round, and Kobe Bryant should be the starting corner. But until we get to that point, I'm not even.
You're not even entertaining it.
I'm not even entertaining it.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. I have dreams, Scott. I have dreams, and I'm sure these draft picks have dreams, and I'm sure that those in the chat have dreams. So look, who do you guys? And I know Scott's right. Like you're probably the only guy that I think could remotely get in a game this year would probably be Nick Nash if some stuff happened that we didn't want to see happen. But outside of that, I agree with Scott. But, you know, again,
I've got a different take.
Oh, what's that?
I think the one guy that actually sees, you know, 20 to 30% of the snaps out of these undrafted free agents this year is Josh Simon, your number 3. Your number 3 tight end. They ran their number 3 tight end last year 15% of the snaps, and Ross Dwelly was hot garbage.
Oh, that because who did we sign for a special teams guy?
We signed Felipe Franks.
Okay,
but
right.
Josh Simon could beat him out on special teams.
I got you. That makes sense. That makes sense.
So if you've got, you know, Josh Simon out there, and he's playing 15% of the snaps as the number 3 tight end because he's a solid blocker. You know, you pull Pitts off for a rest, and you've got Simon out there. Simon also can go out and stretch a defense. Simon can also go out there. Like, I don't know how the kid didn't get drafted. The more film I watch on him, the more I'm like, because I watched a lot of him as it was, just because my buddy's a South Carolina fan, and I watched a lot of film on him to begin with. But I'm kind of doing like my final scouting pass on these guys to do reports on them. And the more film I watch on Josh Simon, I'm like, this dude's a beast. Like, how did he go undrafted? Then I looked at his age. He's a little older. He didn't really do that well in testing for the combine stuff. Like, he did okay, right? He didn't do bad testing, but he did okay. Like, he was about league average. But that's faster stronger than what Charlie Werner was. So I think Simon is a really good, solid player. Simon's not going to be on the practice squad, Mike. Simon's going to be on the 53 man.
Yeah. So Mike says, I can see Nash and Bryant making some noise. Can't wait till preseason. Yeah,
Yep.
I think they will. But Phillips and Alfred, not that great either. Craig says, who wins the kicker battle? Who does win the kicker battle, Scott? Because this dude can kick from 60. The new guy we signed.
If the young ho is healthy, he's winning that battle. If the young ho goes back to his old kicking motion, he's winning that battle. Those are the two things he needs to do. Because if he does that, the young ho is amazing. He'll be fine. If he doesn't, Lenny Krieg could very well end up being the guy. But we just have to see what happens in preseason there, because that will be a battle that will be decided in preseason action.
I think Koo's hip is hurt. And I don't think the Falcons are disclosing how severe that injury is.
I think it was hurt last year. I think he's probably going to be okay when preseason rolls around at this point. Because that's a 9-month layover from when he got hurt, when he was put on injury reserve.
Yeah, hips scare me, man.
I get it.
Hips scare me. But, I mean, we'll see. Manuel says, Mike, I think Clark is going to win the cornerback 2 spot. Training camp will be interesting. I think Hughes.
I said the same thing.
I think Hughes. You did say the same thing. But I just, for me, and maybe it's me, maybe it's a bias. Maybe I need to, because I'm 5'9" myself, so it's kind of reverse hatred. All heights matter, but he just he doesn't have the ups that Grimes has, man. So it's difficult in a world where you got to cover somebody 6'4", and it's a toss up. I mean, dude, what are you like? If it's me,
he can play man, and he can play these underneath robber style zones that they're going to want him to play on the outside very well. Those hook curl, all those different zones, he will be fine. I'm not worried about Clark Phillips this year.
But on a go,
I think Phillips fits a lot better than Hughes. I think Hughes fit the last scheme better. Notice the one player that looked better under Jimmy Lake was Mike Hughes, but everybody else got worse.
Yeah, that's true. That's
kind
scary.
of the opposite of it.
That's scary.
And 2 years ago, Hughes looked like hot dog shit in the new Nielsen scheme, and this scheme is going to look very similar to that. So, just want to throw that out there.
Okay, that's an interesting take, my friend. That is an interesting take, Michael. Simon won't last on practice squad. I promise. Simon reminds me of Jonnu Smith. Oh, okay, very high praise. Very high praise, Craig. Manuel says, I would really like to see Joshua Simon from South Carolina make this team. He's interesting. Auntie Pam says, what are the chances that Jake Nelson makes the offensive line competes at the center position? I think he is I don't know.
So I like Jack Nelson. Jack Nelson is not a center in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
He's 6'7". He's 320 pounds. He moves really well. He reminds me a lot more of Caleb McGarry than anybody else. And you ain't putting Caleb McGarry at center. All
right. So he's got slow feet. Does he have slow feet? Is that what you're saying?
Think McGarry with quick feet.
Oh, okay. That's actually not bad. Is he as big as McGarry?
6'7", 320, yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, McGarry's. I saw McGarry.
These guys are monsters. Yeah, these guys are just monsters. Big old dudes.
That's
so
big.
If anything, he's right tackle. The guy who might end up competing at center is Josh Gray. He's 6'4". He's 299. He was also an older guy. A lot of the undrafted guys they did bring in were undrafted because they were older. Josh Simon, 24. Josh Gray, 25. Jordan Williams, 23. Sometimes older prospects don't go because they're already viewed as maxed out. That was part of the issue with Josh Simon, right? He was viewed as maxed out. He was already a little bit older. That being said, I could see a situation where Jack Nelson beats out Storm Norton for swing tackle. I just don't think he's a center. Like, he's too tall, too big, he's not quick enough for center. Like, it's a different kind of quick. It's a different kind of footwork, to explain it.
So speaking of centers, not sinners, centers. Speaking of centers, we need a backup center. And, some other folks have alluded to the fact that there could still be some potential free agents that are out there. Scott, give me your list and your thoughts on who's available and who we need to go and get if it's possible.
So the spots that I see that could use some competition, both at starter and at backup, are center, nose tackle. I would throw tight end in that mix as well. I think you need better players than Nikola Kilinik, Tegan Quatoritano, and Felipe Franks competing with Josh Simon. Because I think Simon was signed and he's like, yeah, I got this job locked up. Like, I know I've got this job. So guys that could potentially play center. One name kind of stuck out to me. It's Tristan Colon from the Cardinals. He was solid. He wasn't the best, but he was solid. Another name that stood out was Dan Feeney from the Vikings. He played guard and center in college. So maybe he could play center. He was a high value pick, but, things happen. And then maybe getting a turncoat like Shane Lemieux from the Saints might not be a bad idea. He was a guard and center for the Giants, guard and center for the Saints, guard and center for the Oregon Ducks. He could be a guy that you bring in and provides that veteran competition in the middle. But if he's not fully retiring, David Andrews out of UGA and the Patriots would be the guy.
All right.
More than anybody else, I think he would be the guy at center.
How much is it going to take to sign one of these guys? And do we have it in the budget right now?
Yeah. At this point, none of the big money guys are even out there at any position. At this point, you're looking at like 1 year, $2 million deal for anybody you sign. 1 year, $2 million.
Okay.
So we're talking cap-wise, negligible. Only really hitting the cap at most for like an extra $1 million than what they've got because of the way the 51 rule works. So they've got more than enough space to sign one of the guys that I'll recommend, right? And then I am assuming a Kirk Cousins trade does happen at some point.
So you still think he gets traded?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I think that's kind of a foregone conclusion at this point. The other spot that I see a lot of guys that I like that could really fit in well is at nose tackle. Foley Fadukasi from the Texans is a name I've been floating out there for a minute. The other is Linval Joseph from the Cowboys. Now, both those guys are probably vet minimum deals. They're probably rotational roles, 15, 20% of the snaps. Only when you absolutely need that extra fat inside, that extra beef inside. But even then, they'd have to beat out Laquelle London for that role. So it's very possible that we end up looking at this roster come training camp and we're like, it's exactly the same. They didn't make any moves. Unless they, for whatever reason, do sign a center, I think that's what's going to happen.
All right. Well, hey, that's I'm okay with that.
There is one more spot I forgot to mention.
Okay. What's that?
So I did mention tight end as well earlier, but the names there are going to be dudes like Gerald Everett, Mercedes Lewis, who's like 42 years old,
Dang.
Hayden Hurst, Nick Vanette. Nothing that's anything to write home about, right? But the last spot's backup quarterback.
Is there anything out there in the realm of back? Who's out there?
There's one guy out there that I would love to see here in Atlanta as a pure backup, not starting, but backing up Michael Penix, potentially a one-game starter if Penix is out for whatever reason, and that's Carson Wentz.
Oh,
he would be cheap.
You think he's fixed whatever was going on with him?
I think he's fixed whatever's going on with him in terms of like, hey, do I need to be a starter anymore? Because that's what it was. He wanted to be a starter, and then he finally realized, no, I'm not a starter. I'm a backup. I'm going to go be Chase Daniel and get my, $2.5 to $3 million bag for the rest of my life till I'm ready to retire, holding a clipboard. Could Carson Wentz be that guy? Absolutely. He can still spin a ball. He can still work with the backup teams, get guys ready, build them up. Like in backup quarterback is way more of a team building position than anything else. That's why I don't think
you can play longer in it too. You can
play 40. Yeah, he can play till he's 40, like Joe Flacco's been doing. And sure, like Wentz may not be what he was, but we don't want prime Carson Wentz. We want current Carson Wentz who's been in the league and can talk to these guys and be a backup leader to your starting leader.
Okay.
So
that's fair. Well, let me add, with our current backup leader, do you think, because somebody's got to ask a question, okay? Kirk has done everything that he could to sabotage the efforts of this franchise this offseason. I think that's a fair statement. With that being said, and I know the players are like, oh, hey, get your money, man. But some of them have got to be like, hey, man, Kirk, what's going on? What's really good, man? I don't understand all these moves you're out here making. I don't understand what you're doing, to the extent that we do not trade Kirk. And I know you're saying it's a foregone conclusion, but just work with me. We're in the Terryverse now, Scott. We're in the Terryverse. And in the Terryverse, we don't make the trade. Can Kirk ever see your locker room? Is Kirk going to be a dividing factor in there? Is he going to inspire?
When Kirk started out in this league, what was his job?
He was a backup
to
RG3.
Hotshot rookie, hotshot young quarterback. What's his role now? He's a backup to a hotshot young quarterback from the flip side. He's now at the end of his career.
But he's Sinister Kirk now. Then he was just a rookie.
No, at this point, he's Matt Schaub after coming back home from the...
Oh, wow. But what if he doesn't know he's Matt Schaub, right?
Oh, he knows he's Matt Schaub.
I don't think he does. Scott, I really...
The minute no one trades for him and Terry sits him in that office and goes, listen, we had no opportunity to trade for you. No one offered any picks. No one said... Like, obviously, this isn't true, but...
Right.
They'll sit him down and be like, listen, you aren't getting traded. Your job is to make Michael Penix the best quarterback you can make him. Your job is to help these backup wide receivers and tight ends develop. Your job is to get guys like Josh Simon on page so he knows the fucking playbook on opening day. That will be what they do with him. They'll sit his ass down and be like, listen, this is your job. This is your job as the backup quarterback in the NFL. You don't have to accept it. You can demand a trade right now, and we will find somewhere and send you away for a 7. But these are your options. Either you get traded, or we sit here and we work something out with you where you're okay with being a backup, and you take a pay cut next year. And you
Oh,
sign these pay cuts into writing so that we're not paying you $37.5 million in salary.
if you're Kirk, why would you do that, Scott? Why would you
You
take a
ask for
pay
a
cut?
trade.
Huh?
They will sit there and say, hey, or you can just be a backup here for the next year, and then we will guaranteed cut you post June 1st next year, right at opening day of the league year.
In
Those
which
are
option does he get more money? I would think the latter he would get.
trading.
Okay. All right. Well, no, I'm saying
Trading gives you more money.
if nobody traded, all right. Yeah. If I'm Kirk, there's no way you're not getting any money out of me. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
I'm not. No, I'm not. You guaranteed it. You're gonna give it to me, buddy. But Kirk gives me. So you're saying there's a chance vibes, right? Like he gives me. Oh, well, one team called about me. Somebody wants me. You're saying like the guy doesn't seem to get that he's viewed as a backup. He doesn't. He doesn't seem like it's like he's like no. You know what I mean? It's like a rom com, right? Where Kirk's trying to get the cheerleader, and it's just not happening, Kirk. But
And he
he
needs to
doesn't give up.
realize that the nerdy girl that's sitting over there with the painted overalls might be his best shot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No,
Exactly. But he
I know.
wants Kelly Kapowski, and he's not going to stop until he gets Kelly Kapowski.
You wouldn't even get Lisa Turtle, all
I
right?
don't, man. I love me some Lisa Turtle. Shout out to Saved by the Bell, man. I love that show. That was one of my favorite shows ever. I love Saved by the Bell. Anyway,
Like,
yeah,
don't get me wrong about Kirk. He could also just say, hey, it's time to put the family first. I just want to stay here. I will take a pay cut. I'm not going to take a guarantees cut. You're still going to guarantee me $27.5 million worth of salary, but I will take a pay cut of $14 million this year. And we're going to move 13.5 into guarantees next year. And then I've got 23.5 million guaranteed next year coming my way. I could see him doing that and saying, you know what, for a backup quarterback, I'm making 15 million a year. So
I mean, I could, yeah, that could, happen. I just, the capitalist in me is like, you want me to what? Nah.
yeah,
Nah.
yeah, that's where Kirk is probably also the same way.
Yeah.
His
Nah.
language is guaranteed money.
Yeah. I'm not giving it back. I'm sorry. I'm
I,
not.
I wouldn't give him more. Well, here's the thing: he wouldn't be giving it back if it's guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but the thing is he does have a no trade clause, but that no trade clause is more of a formality because if you say, "Hey, the Steelers came in, they offered you they offered us a 3 for you. They've got 3 threes next year. They offered us one of them, their own, because they think they're going to be in the playoffs with you. Are you open to going to Pittsburgh?" And it could even be like the Falcons have a conditional 3 if Kirk starts 17 games there and they make the playoffs. Otherwise, it's a 4. Like we've seen teams do that before. And if Kirk goes there and they go 9-8 and they make the playoffs, you still get a 3 out of it. So I think what's more likely to happen is a conditional situation more than anything else.
Okay.
And they trade him as a rental and go from there. And if you look at it this way too, let's say Kirk goes there, he leads them to 11 wins, they get 2 playoff victories, and they lose in the AFC title game. They're not cutting Kirk at that point. They're going to build around him as much as they can. But they are going to trade up for a quarterback in the first round and get a guy who they think, hey, this guy can be the guy who we sit behind Kirk for his second year here, and then bring him out. And at that point, Kirk will be like, all right, 2 years in Pittsburgh, I'm done. After these 2 years in Pittsburgh. I'm going to go retire at 39 years old. So that's what I would do. I would just at that age, if they keep my contract and I'm going in my last year and I'm not going to cost any money for my new team to do anything, I'm just going to sit there and chill and just be like, hey, go ahead and cut me. I'm good. I got all my guaranteed money. I'm going to retire now.
I think Kirk wants to play till he's 45. I think Kirk is trying to get his Tom Brady on. But one problem, he doesn't have Tom Brady ability. So
Tom Brady didn't really have Tom Brady ability.
Oh, hold on now. Hold on now, Scott. You're about to shift the earth off its axis. What are we doing here? What are we doing here on What the Falcon? I mean, look, I hate the guy as much as anybody else does. He is responsible for one of the most catastrophic.
He is one of the luckiest quarterbacks.
Yeah, okay. From a postseason perspective, that's true. That is true.
He always had a top 10 defense. He always had solid offensive line.
And he did have dumb opponents, i.e., who's the coach for Pete Carroll, who threw that stupid slant when you're on the 1 yard line, Pete?
I still don't hate that call of what Pete Carroll did.
I think it was stupid.
Of passing at the 1 yard line.
I know, but not that. Not a slant.
It was the way they did the passing that made no sense.
Correct. They should have spread them out.
They should have given them an RPO call with a hot at the line where they look and see how guys are aligned. Because if you saw how guys were aligned right there, you'd say, fuck this, kill.
Yeah.
Right? Butler's literally, before the play even starts, right in the lane.
Yeah.
I would look over at my hotkey and go, yep, kill, 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 kill. And then I'd run that shit to the left.
Yeah.
I'd spread them out.
And it's over.
I'd be out of shotgun. I'd spread them out, and I'd run it right up the middle with Marshawn Lynch in a spread formation.
Yeah.
Give them the thought that I was going to pass.
And honestly, with the Falcons, and I'm not blaming them, but damn it, Freeman, if you just picked up the block there.
That's a touchdown and game over.
Just pick up the block, Free. I'm just saying.
Or Shanahan, if you just call 3 straight runs right after that.
Thank you.
2 minutes of clock and you're up by 11. There's just not enough time to get 2 possessions in at that point.
Kyle's an idiot when it comes to Super Bowls. Like we've seen this. Kyle can't get out of it. He can't get out of his own damn way. Because all he's got to do there is kneel 3 times and kick a damn field goal. Game's over. You're on the 22.
Or you're up by 11 with 3.5 minutes left.
And it's over. It's over.
And even if they score a touchdown, you can sit there and force them to dink and dunk their way and take a bunch of time off the clock, take off at least 2.5 minutes from the clock. Then there's a minute left, and you're up by 3 points. Worst case scenario, up by 5. Best case scenario. All right, so you're up by 5. 3 minutes left, or under a minute left.
Yeah.
And you're just chilling there waiting for that onside kick. You pick up that onside kick, you down it, you're done.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways to go about that.
Game over. Shout out to Dan for not telling Kyle to shut up. Because that's what he should have done. He should have said, Kyle, shut up. We're going to kneel on this ball 3 times. We're going to kick this damn field goal. Okay? You're going to go out to San
Francisco
and have a great career. You said what?
They gave Watts, the rookie numbers just got released like 2 seconds ago. They gave Nelson 69.
What are you looking at?
The official Atlanta Falcons feed.
Oh, okay.
They gave Watts 31.
I'm assuming 31 is bad.
31 is William Andrews. There's only been one player to wear 31 since William Andrews.
Oh, the numbers. The numbers. Oh, okay. I'm thinking of some sort of rating system. You mean the numbers. Got it. Okay.
The numbers, yeah.
What? They gave Watts what?
31.
Okay. Well, I love me some William Andrews.
Baby Billy got 33 for, Baby Billy. That's what it stands for.
Baby Billy. What did
Jalen Walker got 11.
Oh, he got Julio's number.
And they already pulled the number off of Jordan Fuller, 27. They already pulled that off of him. That's going to James Pierce.
Let me ask you a question. And I know we haven't retired Matt's number. Is that kind of disrespectful? How do you feel about that?
So I'm a big believer that I don't give a damn. There's only one number, in my opinion, that should be completely retired, and that is number 60 for Tommy Nobis, Mr. Falcon. Because he's the guy that really fits what this franchise should be about, which is hard, tough-nosed play on the field, clean off the field, and in your spare time do charity work. That's Tommy Nobis. That is what this franchise should be about. That's what Arthur Blank sees the franchise as the way they should be.
Mm.
So when I look at that and I see that to me is why you retire that guy's number. Outside of that, the only other thing you should do is retire it for that side of the ball.
Mm.
So I actually have a list of numbers here that the Falcons could be considered retired, right? So like number 2, Matt Ryan. I don't think they should retire his number.
Wow.
That being said, no offensive player should ever wear it again.
You don't think they should?
I think they should throw that number on a safety. I think they should throw that number on a corner. But I don't think they should ever throw that number on the offensive side ever.
Wow.
Again. Retire it for that side of the ball for that player, to honor that player.
I don't know about that one, Scott. I feel like you should retire Matt's number.
I feel like, well, here's the thing. They've never retired Dion's number. They never retired Warwick Dunn's number. They basically just unretired 31 from William Andrews. They've never retired 42 for Gerald Riggs.
I wonder why that is.
They never really retired 84 for Roddy White. So certain positions you don't retire. You don't retire wide receivers because there's only so many numbers for wide receivers.
Wide receivers.
They never retired 87 for Claude Humphrey.
Yeah. Okay. That's all right. That yeah. From that perspective, I get it.
So some numbers, it's just like, you know what? Screw it. Leave it unretired. Who cares? In the grand scheme of things, it's just a number. And if that player does not make that number good, that's not on the number. That's on the player.
No, I get it, but I feel like you should retire Matt's number, but I get it. I can see your point. I still feel like you should retire Matt's number. I halfway feel like you should retire Julio's number just because Julio and Matt have meant so much to this franchise. But you did make a point about some other Falcons I've forgotten about, so that's fair. And like you say, there are only so many numbers to go around. That's fair. That's fair. Well, I'll tell you what, everyone in the chat, thank you. Everyone out there in Twitter and Facebook and X and every other platform, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Scott, tell these folks where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter, just Carasik S. Outside of that, we will... Outside of that, you can just find me wherever. I mean, I'll be posting stuff on Substack. There's actually a website called Draft Professors I'll be contributing to a little bit more as well. So you'll be able to see me there as well. I'll be jumping on podcasts discussing depth charts with other team implications now.
Drop the link in there, Scott, so they can find you. The draft. I mean, everybody has it, but the link to Draft Professors are that one. So yeah,
honestly, everybody should check them out. I'm going to give 2 links, one to the YouTube and one to the actual website.
Okay.
I'm also going to be helping them kind of fix their simulator a little bit.
Gotcha.
I just put those in the private chat because I don't know how to do the comments from StreamYard.
I got you, man. It's all good. It's all good. And how about I just put it right back in the private chat? Oh, come on, T-Will. Come on, man. Got to do better. Got to do better. Hang on.
But I'll also be assessing depth charts based on cap for projected team needs for this next year so that their simulators run correctly.
Gotcha.
Oof. And I hate to do this to you, T-Will, but I have got to go.
It's all good. I got to go myself, man. Have a good one, Scott. We'll see you next week, buddy.
See you next week, y'all.
All right, man. Everybody in the chat, thank you for joining us. Appreciate that. Appreciate Scott as always. Scott is the greatest. I will never doubt anything he says regarding anything football, stats, salary cap, or positioning. Guys in the chat again, thank you all for joining us. Appreciate that. Really enjoyed this. Can't wait to see you guys again. Want to thank God. Thank you, Jesus, for waking me up this morning, giving me the ability to get out here and just, come and fellowship with you guys and talk Falcons. If you guys could get the notion, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I am at For My ATL Sports 1 on YouTube. Say again the number 4, My ATL Sports, the number 1 on YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe as it puts us out there in the algorithm and gives us a chance to bring you more content just like this. We appreciate that. Last but not least, I want to thank Mr. Jack Spade. I want to thank Miss Carrie. I want to thank Bodie 3000. All of the members of the One Time for the Fan team, which we will be airing a show tonight at 8 p.m. You can catch us out there. One Time for the Fan on YouTube. And last but not least, I want to thank my brother Eric Parker. I want to thank Chris A1 from Day One. I want to thank Smitty. 14K. Want to thank Berto. Want to thank Debo Vibes. Also want to thank Big Low and Uncle Steve. And everybody else out there. Eric Parker, my brother, thank you. You guys have an amazing day. I will see you guys if you choose to tune in later on tonight, 8 p.m. One Time for the Fan. Go Falcons. Thank you, everybody. Have an amazing day. Be safe. Goodbye.